Well, it was far shorter than the last radio drama, but far more complicated. Awesome. Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and this is it. This is the next radio drama in Hoard of the Dragon Queen called Pixies, Portals, and Power. We are still in Chapter 6 and still dealing with the swamp as my characters make their way to the castle. The point of this particular cutscene, let's just get to it, was really to create a sense of urgency. It's time to start, getting the players out of the side quests and different things that are going on in the swamp and get them to the castle as soon as possible. A sense of urgency on both sides. On the enemy side, we have the portal that sits below the castle that has suddenly gone silent. It's lost its power, even though it's had its power for 100 years or so. It's lost it. And so they're trying to figure out what to do with this. And the first thing they come to eventually in the radio drama, you'll hear it here, is they decided to use the Fae's power. Drain her slowly to repower the portal. So that's what they wanted to do. Now, of course, this creates a sense of urgency for my players who don't want to see the Fae destroyed, especially my druid who has bonded with her. She wants to get to her as soon as possible. So now we have a ticking time bomb, a ticking clock going on in the adventure. And this is something I want to allow some freedom for, allow fairness in this encounter, but there is a possibility that the Cricket Fae will change. This will change her life. She will no longer be the same Fae that she was before, and could take a very dark turn. So this is what this is. This is the whole point of this radio drama, was to continue to show what the NPCs, the enemies, are dealing with. Because, look, not everything is smooth for them. The players obviously are going through all kinds of ups and downs as they go through this campaign. Well, I kind of felt like the NPCs are also suffering ups and downs. Things go well, things go bad, stupid stuff happens. So this is what this radio drama sets up. It was a challenge. Well, you know what? Let's talk about the challenge afterwards. Let me just go ahead and play it. It's 6 minutes, 58 seconds. It's not 11 minutes. Don't worry about that. But it's just under 7 minutes. It fleshes out the entire scenario, the sense of urgency for everybody. All right, guys, this is it. This is Pixies, Portals, and Power. It dwelled underground for many generations, but the majestic portal encased in the cavern's floor had suddenly gone silent. The large dragon skull, fashioned after one of the 9 heads of Tiamat, stood directly above the portal, creating an intimidating threshold to an astral oblivion. A great stone door opens from across the cavern as Rezimir, Borngray, and Farbalex walk towards the ancient portal with haste.
When did this happen?
Borngray rests his hands on his belt, glancing around the cavern. It was discovered this morning, Lord, right before the attack by Snapjaw. The portal went silent, without any warning.
How is this possible? The portal has been stable since we discovered it.
Perhaps Snapjaw has broken the great door of light. The swamp drinks its spirit, causing blackness.
Borngray rests his chin in his hand, thinking back and growing impatient with the bullywug's poor grasp of common. Don't be ridiculous. I seriously doubt the Blizzard folk have the magical aptitude to sabotage the portal. However, just before you arrived, Lord, parts of the swamp were hit by a necromantic storm, causing some interesting effects in the mirror. If I were to guess, I believe the storm broke the attunement to the other side.
A magical storm here in the swamp?
This swamp is a nesting ground of unpredictable and erratic activity. When a dead god's ashes are blanketed across an entire region, there's no telling what might happen. Walking dead, sentient plant life, cursed temples, you name it, this swamp has it. Rezimir nods his head and turns back to the portal, gesturing with his clawed hand.
Do either of you know how to reactivate it?
The great door is blind to my spirit, Lord.
No, elven portals don't have these problems. It seems human portals are insufferably fragile. He pauses, looking up at the dragon's skull with a sudden thought. Borngray walks forward, stepping onto the ancient stone, examining its design. Perhaps the destruction of an artifact could create enough arcana to reopen its waypoint.
An excellent idea. But it would have to be powerful.
They turn, as a human dressed in red velvet robes slowly walks towards them with an ivory staff. He comes into the light of the torches, the shadows playing on his face, revealing a human complexion masked in dull white paint, with streaks of red both above and below his eyes, typical of red wizards.
Asberoth, I see that you returned from your errand. If you have an answer to the quandary, I'm eager to hear it.
Asberoth passes them both and approaches the circle. He kneels and rests his hand on its surface. It was still warm, residual effects of astral energy. His copper eyes dwell upon the stone for a moment, tracing the old runes carved by hand from ethereal architects and their enchanted tools long ago. He seems to come to a decision, then turns.
Shuttering an artifact could be risky. We could inadvertently unleash too much energy, destroying the portal, and us in the process.
Rezimir crosses his arms. Borngray remains quiet, eyes darting between them. Asberoth continues.
However, if we could drain a relic of its power, slowly, we could gradually reactivate the portal.
He gestures to Rezimir's hip.
Perhaps your sword, Lord Rezimir. It is powerful enough and can be used adequately without destroying it. Out of the question. Surely there is something within the treasury.
If there were a relic in the Hoard, it would need to be powerful, and we would surely know about it by now. There's nothing. Except... He raises a finger, a sudden realization hitting the elf like a sack of dead drow. The Fae. Asberoth's eyes snap towards Borngray.
Fae?
The Fae is a relic.
Yes, a living one, if you will.
He is correct. Fae have a celestial core and can be drained to empower another source, giving it arcane magic. They are the forebearers of magical artifacts to begin with, so its essence would rejuvenate the portal. But one must have a Fae to begin with, and they disappeared long ago.
Rezimir reaches into a side pouch and presents the crystal orb containing. The sprite quickly stands, fists clenching at her sides, her gaze not wavering under his penetrating stare. She takes only a moment to glance around, taking note of the others within the room. More people to kill, in her mind.
Where did this come from? The Red Wizard should be told of any and all artifacts that come in your possession, Lord Rezimir. What else have you been hiding? A story for another time. It is unfortunate I cannot present her to the Queen of Dragons, but it appears we read the signs correctly. She will aid us in death.
A devilish glare comes from Cricket, the kind of anger and fury that simmers from animals who are caged for too long. A primal rage, ready to lash out with lethal fangs the moment the cell door is opened.
If we are to reactivate the portal and continue with the delivery of our treasures, we must begin at once.
I will bring the dragon altar to the portal. It will hold the Fae, so we may use our magic.
They turn to leave, but a voice stops them in their tracks.
The portal is the least of your problems.
They each turn in unison, hands quickly resting on swords, shield, and staff. A dark elf steps out from the shadows, his black metal mask flickering in the torchlight.
They're here,
Jevon points to the small crystal orb containing Cricket.
and they're coming for her.
So there you have it, folks. That is the next radio drama. It was a challenge. This particular one was a challenge, mainly because of just the amount of people that were sitting in the room together. We had 5 characters all there, and one of them, I hadn't even come up with a voice yet. So that's always the scary part. I want to write the stuff, but what scares me the most is like, oh my gosh, do I have a voice for this character? Because I can't do it. I mean, I'm not that good. I'm just an average Joe just sitting here trying to make something cool. So it always kind of worries me. But as you can see, the sense of urgency is there. There is a dilemma that's happened. And it was a challenge also to make those voices sound like they're in a cave and there's like a great expanse that they're talking into. I really wish I could voice Cricket a little bit more. But again, I'm not a woman. And I can't do women's voices, so I'm not even going to try it. But I kind of wish I could emote with her a little bit more. So typically when it comes to her character, I've got to just kind of write out some description, some narration for her. That's really about it. But I think it would be great to have her vocalize a little bit more, maybe have some banter back and forth with some of the principal characters there. But unfortunately, that can't happen. All right, guys, that's it. That's the next one. The next video to come after this most likely will be the next campaign diary, which we just played last night, and then maybe another map video. But we're chugging along, and chapter 6 is still got a good maybe 5 sessions. I mean, we have sat longer in chapter 6 than any other chapter in the book, including chapter 1. So it's, for lack of a better word, it's become a monster. It really has. So that's it, everybody. That's the next radio drama. And probably not going to be another radio drama for the next scenario. I feel like things have been set up. There's no need to elaborate too much more on this. And hopefully my characters now will start making their way towards the castle, which I think is the next step. Definitely going to be the next step, because the next few the next few sessions will involve the castle. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with it. And I'll see you in the next video.